Today, we're going to dive into a story that's, well, it's simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It's all about what it takes to keep going when everything feels lost. It's a story about hope, effort, and the persistence of a single green leaf.
How long can I keep going? You know that question, right? We've all asked ourselves that. When you're tired, when you feel alone, and the challenge just seems impossible, this is exactly where our story kicks off.
All right, let's set the scene. Part 1, A Land of Lost Hope. We're starting in a place where that struggle, it wasn't just a feeling. It was a harsh, everyday reality.
So, picture this. A whole town, and it's just surrounded by these dry, cracked fields. Everything that made the town tick, the jobs, the food, it all just vanished. The land itself looked how everyone felt inside.
And as things got tougher, you can guess what happened. That feeling of despair just took over. People started packing their bags and leaving. I mean, who could blame them? They were looking for something better, convinced this place was a lost cause. But there was one person who made a different choice. Her name was Sarah, and she stayed.
Can you imagine hearing this every day? Nothing will ever grow there. And this wasn't just some offhand remark. This was what everyone believed. It was this huge wall of doubt that Sarah had to face day in and day out.
But, and this is the key part, here's the contrast. While everyone else saw a dead end, Sarah saw a reason to keep trying. And it wasn't just blind optimism, you know? It was a choice. For her, hope wasn't some passive feeling. It was an action. It was deciding to try just one more time.
Okay, so what does trying one more time actually look like, in the real world? For Sarah, it was all about this quiet daily effort that nobody else really saw.
This was her life, not just for a day, not for a week, but every single day. Waking up before the sun, walking out to that dry patch of land, planting seeds, and using every last drop of water she'd saved. That's the discipline that was hiding behind her hope.
And look, this wasn't some feel-good movie montage where everything starts working immediately. The reality, it was brutal. Most days, absolutely nothing changed. And on the really bad days, the sun would just scorch everything she'd done, and she'd have to start all over again.
And we can't forget the human side of this. She wasn't a robot. She felt it all. The exhaustion, the loneliness, that crushing weight of doing it all by herself. There were nights she just cried. And honestly, that's what makes her strength so real, so powerful.
So she put up with all of it. The doubt from her neighbors, the constant setbacks, the emotional drain. And then, after all that silent, unseen work, something finally shifted. This is the real turning point of the whole story.
I really want to let this sink in. This was not a quick win. We are talking about weeks and then months of just grueling faith against all the evidence. For months, every single day, she chose to believe in a future that she could not see at all. And then, this happened. Just one. After all that time, all that back-breaking work, this is what she got. A single, tiny green leaf just pushing its way up through that hard, dry ground. It wasn't a roar of success, it was barely a whisper.
And that's the whole point, isn't it? It didn't have to be a giant plant, it just had to be there. That one little leaf was all the proof she needed. It was physical evidence that all her unseen work, it mattered. Something was happening under the surface, even when she couldn't see it.
And that one leaf, wow, it changed everything. It was like the first crack in this giant wall of impossibility. And from there, something incredible started to happen.
Yeah, fueled by that one tiny success, she just kept going. And soon, that one leaf was joined by another, and then another. Slowly but surely, that barren piece of dirt turned into a garden, full of fresh vegetables, full of life. It was living proof of what happens when you refuse to give up.
So when her neighbors came by, totally amazed, and asked her, "How did you do this?" her answer was so simple but so deep. She said it wasn't some secret trick. It was her belief system. Her core idea was that progress isn't always something you can see. And man, that is a powerful lesson for all of us.
So let's really break this down. What were the two key ingredients here? First up, hope. Hope is the reason you even start. It's not a promise that you'll succeed, but it's that little spark, that what if, that lets you look at a barren field and imagine a garden. But hope by itself isn't enough. The second piece of the puzzle is perseverance. That's the strength to keep going. It's the engine that pushes you forward when that initial spark of hope feels a million miles away. Hope gets you to the starting line. Perseverance is what actually gets you to the finish.
So, what's the big takeaway from Sarah's story? Well, first, never ever underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. Second, you have to trust that even when you can't see the results, your effort isn't being wasted. It's building something just beneath the surface. And finally, when you put hope and perseverance together, well, that's a combination that can change even the toughest situations.
And that brings us right back to you. Sarah's green leaf came from months of quiet, uncelebrated work. So take a second and think about your own life. What's that tiny seed you're watering today, even when nobody else sees it? Because that might just be the beginning of your own garden.